What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Futures Trading with NinjaTrader. I am your host, Nate Suleiman, aka Made in India. And of course, we'll be hanging out with Jim Cagnina here in a second. But want to appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us. And let's get this show on the road. Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. How's it going, man? You and I were both on vacation, it seems, for a few days.
Yeah, no, I know. I took some R&R. I had a few days off, and one of them was on a Monday of all things, and I missed you.
I know. I missed you guys as well. The chat did too, and it's good to have you back. Let's go ahead and throw your charts up here. And look, let's get right to it. I see you're in a position already. And before you say that, let me just remind the chat. This is a simulated account, right? So it's paper money. However, the data, the information you're seeing is real time. And apologies for interrupting you there, but tell me what's up.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you never traded futures, go to ninjatrader.com and get a free trial, a free real-time trial. This is what I'm working on right now. A lot of stuff going on today. It was interesting from an economic release point of view. Today and tomorrow is kind of a nothing burger. There's not a lot going on. We did have some a bill passed out of the Senate, which is going to spend even more money in the up and coming session. And that's about it. All eyes are on CPI and PPI later today. But, you know, the equity markets seem to like the news of the new, I guess it's called the Inflation Reduction Act. I don't know where they get these names.
Yeah.
They're pretty funny. Anyway, so the market seemed to like that news as well, even though it's kind of anticipatory for Wednesday and Thursday. But I have a couple positions we put on this morning at the opening range show, and looking for a drive back up in the micro NASDAQ to R1, which is a daily pivot level.
And of course, for those of you that are just joining us, you've got a position on the NASDAQ. It looks like at 13,316.50. You've got one unit. And then your target's there at R1. Are you going to look to add any units at all? I see you've got one actually right there below. So 13,275.
Yeah, this is a 2-unit trade strategy. You know, I decided that, you know, my bias for this morning anyway was bullish. Yeah. And we acquired 1 unit pretty much right at the VWAP right here, the volume weighted average price. That's that blue line you could kind of see underneath my chart. And then I have a second unit. I'm trying to get a second unit down a little bit lower. And then if we do get that second unit, we'll have an average price, right? We'll have a 2-unit average price. Yeah. And then my stop is right below the pivot. And the idea here is, hey, let's get 2 units. Let's drive up high. Let's take 1 unit off the table at R1. That's my target on the upside. And then move my remaining 1 unit stop to break even. I mean, that's the ideal scenario here. However, the market's kind of like, gave me one unit, and it's like, hey, Jim, maybe you're going to get your profit target before you get the second unit.
Yeah, no, I love the idea there, especially because you want to scale into your position just in case the market goes against you for a little bit. Usually you have a position in SPY. This time you've got in the queue, so that's interesting to me. And this is going to be a day trade for you, right? You're not going to go and swing this if neither of your targets get hit.
Yeah, no way. I mean, I'm sitting on my hands right now and be patient. And the nice thing about it is it's in a micro contract, so it's a smaller size. And at this point, my stress level is low, right? On one hand, I've got some meat on the bone on the position that we have, and if we get our target, that's sweet. On the second hand, if kind of market breaks down a little bit, I'll still get my second unit. So right now, it's kind of stress free. I'm just kind of hanging back and being very patient.
I love it. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the SPY, though. Let's see what the ES is looking like for us in terms of what levels you have. Looks like you've got a position here as well.
Yeah, same concept. It's same idea, almost exactly to the point. I'm trying to get a second unit at R1. We have a first unit right where the market's trading at right now, around 41.82. Target again, R2. This daily pivot level at R2, as long as I have a bullish disposition, I have high hopes we can get there. And then again, my stop is below. My stop is a little bit different place this time. What I did was I used my rectangle to kind of envision an area of support, right? We haven't had a candle close below this 41.54 since 2:50 to 3 o'clock in the morning. I was sleeping. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
it's a long period of time. So this is a really nice long-term area of support. And my stop is kind of at the bottom end of the rectangle here. Maybe it's a little too aggressive, but it's below the 61.8%. So I'm going to be patient and wait. And again, same scenario. Can we get that second unit? Or maybe not. Maybe we'll get a drive up to R1 and I'll get the first unit. Who knows?
Now, let me ask you this. You're at the 10-minute. I do want to take a minute to go out to maybe like the daily, because so much of the conversation, and you and I always do a review on this, is are we out of the woods yet? What's your opinion on that?
So great question. So actually, I'm going to show you a weekly first. We're going to go take a step way back here. And this is a weekly candle chart, right? This is the E-mini S&P. And again, I drew a rectangle here from, just kind of suggesting an area of resistance, right? We haven't closed in this rectangle for a long time. Now we're driving in it. Will we get a close in my rectangle, which suggests maybe some more upward momentum? Or will this hold and will sellers take us back below it? That's kind of the bigger picture. But when you drill down into a daily chart, this is a daily candle for the E-mini S&P. Again, I have a more kind of refined rectangle, again, showing an area of resistance. We're right at it right now, 4180. Yeah. Keep in mind, we got 4,200 psychological level, options level. Yep. That's right above it right there. So my long-term to answer your question is, I think Wednesday and Thursday are going to be key to answering your question. We'll see what core CPI is. We'll see what core PPI is. We'll see what headlines are. And that might kind of give us a hint on what the Fed's going to do going forward, and the market's going to react appropriately. So right now it's looking good. We still have a double top though, right? We have a top here at the end of May. We have a top here. We're forming it right now. And we have this shelf here, another shelf up here. We got to kind of slowly break up and step up on these, I don't know, ladder or shelf or whatever. But we start getting closes up here above 4,200. I'm going to feel really good about it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we go ahead and retest maybe 4,100 or so, like you mentioned earlier. So, all right, cool. So that's what we've got on the ES side of things. Let's move over to any crude oil stuff that you may have a line on.
Yeah, crude oil this is just, I can't get my head around it. We have a dangling wick down here that was attacked and finally became overcome. This was back in the middle of July. I love looking for these dangling wicks because oftentimes, not always, oftentimes we get back there relatively quickly, and we did in this case. This is a daily chart also. But again, we have a nice area down here. I'm going to just put my crosshairs around 87, 97-ish area support so far. But I have a kind of loosely fitting trend line also. The trend is down here, like it or not. It's a double-edged sword. We want lower crude prices because we want lower travel costs. Alternatively, we want some demand, so we're not totally going to be hit hard with the recession. So it's kind of a balancing act.
I was in Philly this weekend, and those gas prices were still at 5. My friend was over in San Diego. She told me it was like 7, and I'm like, good God.
Wow.
It's going to look crazy. It's going to look crazy. But look, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm lucky. I was 387 here yesterday in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, man. So I'm in Atlanta, so same prices here for us as well. But look, you're looking at the daily now. You got any breakdown for intraday on crude oil?
Yeah, let's check it out. So crude right now, this has been a kind of a really nice volatility day, right? We started off, at a nice level, 84.47, kind of swung down a little bit, then rallied all the way back up. European opened up and said, no, we're going to sell this all the way off. And remember, Europeans woke up to, Germany saying, hey, Gazprom 2, or Nord Stream 2, we're not going to certify that thing. And, they're taking a hard stance on it. And I think that resulted in this downward pressure across all the energy complexes. And then crude kind of rallied back again to form another double top right now. R1 is the target. I think we could hit it today for sure. And that is, again, my opinion, but that's 90.50, give or take. This is a really big dominant candle. We have continuation buying coming in. I'm not going to hold this double top to a level at this point to say, oh, well, I'm going to sell it off of this. I want to wait to see if we get confirmation if it's going to stick.
I love the range that crude oil has as well. It looks like you had a bottom of around 87. You got a top of 90. That's a solid 3-point range so far today. And again, if it breaks out, that could be even more. So I'm a fan of that. Let's go ahead and check out some Bitcoin action. That's been finding its bottom, I feel, around 20,000 a few weeks back, and it's been rallying ever since. It looks like it's around, what is that, 2,400 or so. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on this one? Looks like you've got Bollinger Bands, or is that a VWAP?
This is a VWAP band. That's all.
Got
Just
it.
one standard deviation VWAP band. It's been really range bound though. Once you think about it, right? From R2 all the way up to the very highs of the day, we've been pretty much range bound in that range in Bitcoin since 5 a.m. So kind of sideways action here. I'd be looking for areas to sell. What I have is the top VWAN band here, and look for areas to buy again below R2. I think we're going back and forth all day, but it's good to see it up 1330 on the day.
Yeah, you'll be. So are you looking to put on any position, maybe around like say 2,500, since that's like the whole number, or are you kind of leaving it alone because you don't really have a good read on what you like in terms of charts and whatnot? And I'll take a look at your question here in a second, Paul.
Yeah, from a day trade point of view, I love the fact that look at the volume profile over here. We have a really nice profile that's formed. It's pretty consistent. We have a point of control in the middle, a nice little mini normal curve. So my trade idea would look like this, right? I want to see if we can get back to the top of that VWAP band. I'm going to juice this up a little bit. Maybe put it to 10. And then again, on the same side, it's a range bound trade day for me until we get broken out, and then we just put a stop in and we get out. But same thing. This is how I would kind of attack this particular moment in time with the Bitcoin.
Got it. I love it. Any other matter of fact, let me go to Paul's question. My apologies. Paul went ahead and asked, can we take a look at MHG, micro copper futures? That's a good one. We typically never look at. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, and you can see it on my quote board on the lower right. The volume's still a little low here, so I'm going to look at the regular copper, the bigger version of that particular market. But prices remember, they're arbitrage, they're in line. This is almost going to be an exact duplicate chart. The volume profile might look a little different, only because there's so much more volume here in the regular copper chart. But it's 42,000 contracts is pretty good on the regular copper. You could for sure trade the micros, but remember, best practices: enter on limit orders, try to exit on limit orders, and make sure you have a good stop in there.
Gotcha. And then, of course, looks like we got another question from Jesse here. No such thing as a dumb question, but wants to know, so simulated trading is free from NinjaTrader. Are you able to speak on that a little bit? I know it might be a different department, but I did want to at least ask you that.
Yeah, I mean, NinjaTrader it's a multi-broker platform. So depending on which broker you use, most of them give you period, some grace period where you could trade in real-time sim mode. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Hopefully that helps you out, Jesse. Make sure you check out NinjaTrader.com for more info. Matter of fact, if you want to trade futures in the morning with Jim, you can go ahead and check out NinjaTrader.com/events. And you've also got a show called At the Bar, or
yeah, so we have the opening range in the morning, and then bars closing. No, they wouldn't let me name it at the bar. Bars closing at 3:15.
Where are you gonna be at 3:30 at the bar? That's a little early, Jim. Come on.
Yeah. But let's just talk about copper real quick now that we brought it up.
Please.
This is just a daily chart in copper, and you see it was a lot of market happiness down below here. A close pivot held is a really good level of what I'm going to call support for almost all day. And then for some reason, boom, we have a dominant candle that popped up at 930 to 940. And this thing is like moving. It's moving in an upward direction. 3.6 is a relatively decent price for copper. So all eyes are on China. All eyes are on demand for this particular product and supply chain as well. But yeah, it's just a great market to trade. And the really interesting part is here. Let me draw a rectangle from a technical analysis point of view before we leave here. Just look at these wicks here. I'm just going to draw a little rectangle again. So this R1 held 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles, and then boom, we broke on through. Continuation buying. I'd be looking for places to sell right now.
And of course,
I'm sorry. I'd be looking for places to buy right now.
And when it comes back for the test.
Yeah, right? That would be a good idea, right?
At 360. Yeah.
Yeah, because good observation for sure. Right on point.
And then when you go ahead and draw these fibs, right? I know you and I kind of sometimes do this, but if you could go and show the folks that might be new here how you prefer to draw the fibs for your intraday trades that you're looking at.
Yeah, and so there's, it's more of an art than a science, but my point of view is all 23 hours in a regular trading session matter. So I want to start my fib from the lowest point as a general rule, which is right down here, right? This was at what, 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
East Coast time. So I'm just going to go low to high. Now, the weird thing about the fib right now is the top of the fib is at the high of the day, which means we're going to have to
Right.
keep moving it. So this
You
isn't
need
a
a
great
pullback to
example.
get a good idea.
Right, exactly. But I have it painted on there now. And so once we do get that pullback, then we could kind of look, hey, are we going to retrace back to that 23.6? That's a great target. It's right at the bottom of my rectangle. It's right below R1. So this is already a really nice area of interest for me. Remember, my bias is bullish right now. Very volatile market, so be careful here. Micros might be better for you, but that would be a trade idea for me.
All right, I appreciate it, and would love to go over your tip of the day and expand on a couple of things if you'd like. Is that good with you?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, give me one moment. What you got for us?
All right, tip of the week. So Wednesday consumer price index, Thursday producer price index. This is a big deal this week. Wednesday and Thursday. Everybody knows what CPI is. PPI. The definition of PPI is the prices that producers sell their goods for. Right. This is the start of the supply chain. Right. So they're going to sell it to somebody who's going to make something or put it in an automobile or something like that. So that's Thursday. So these are going to be big gauges, both from a headline point of view and from a core point of view. And as a result, I think the markets are going to be a little anticipatory. The earnings is kind of over right now. We did have that curveball with the Senate action, but I think it's going to be anticipatory. I don't know that prices are going to be too divergent from where they are now in the stock market between now and Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning.
Got it. And now how are you going to try to play that in terms of drawing your levels, regardless of which market you want to take a look at before those numbers? As a matter of fact, would you prefer, I know you typically don't swing trade, if I remember correctly, would you rather wait till Thursday, or do you feel comfortable putting a trade on Wednesday if you were to hold it overnight?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
Or do you have to wait, or do you want to wait to see what Wednesday even looks like?
Yeah, so I want to wait till 8:30 to see what Wednesday looks like, and then the market's going to have an initial reaction at 8:30, and then it's going to have another reaction at 9:30 when the cash market opens up. And so really, I'm going to wait for that first 10-minute bar. So 9:40, then I'm going to start making some day trade decisions based on that number. I don't think you could do it before that. I think you got to wait. Anything else is a guess. And even if you're exactly right on what the number is, you hit the consensus on the head. How many times have you traded around a number where it came in your way, but the market did the opposite?
Yeah, no, too many times. Too many times lost money with that way. So definitely I want to avoid that as much as I possibly can. Looks like the markets are pulling in a little bit, coming to the downside. That blue line, is that your VWAP?
Yeah. This is in the classic E-mini S&P. This dark blue here, or I guess it's the highlighted blue here. Yeah, just crossed, right? We just crossed the VWAP right here. But just to go back to answer your question, I'm going to have this chart Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm going to have 3 days where I'm going to line up these points of control and kind of see where they're at, right? Kind of see if this
Friday, the 5th, you had a nice little trend there on the ES.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah, you can easily draw a trend line there.
Yeah. So, but right, exactly, all the way just flanking the bottom there. But I want to see where these points of controls are. And my guess is we're going to be kind of hovering between them. We're not going to be way up here. We're not going to be way south. I'm not going to trend out of it. I think we're going to trend sideways, which will give us a clue on what happens on Wednesday.
And how do you like to utilize those point of control? Like that gold bar is gold for a reason, right? What's it mean to you, and how do you like to play off of that?
Yeah, so this point of control here, it's called, right? It's just simply the price point where the most volume is traded this session.
Okay.
And the really interesting thing about it is this is called a P-shaped distribution because it looks like the letter P, right? Whereas, a Gaussian normal distribution would be a bell-shaped curve, which we're used to in high school. So this is skewed to the top. And all the volume started accumulating at the open. I'm going to put my crosshairs when we started. We had no volume at this level before the open. The market opened up, the cash market, and we accumulated an awful lot of volume in a short period of time to generate this volume spike right now. And a lot of times these points of control kind of act as a magnet, right? They kind of attract price action because it was price happiness here. Buyers and sellers did a lot of transactions here, and they felt it was a good, reasonable price, 41.80, and why not do it again? So that would be a target for me. So if we were going long this particular market, as an example, that would be a target. If we were going short this particular market, that's where my stop is, right? So that's kind of a really important level to me overall, and even more important if it corresponds with the fib line, then that's a double dose of happiness for me. Let's see. It does not. It's so far north. It's such a P distribution. We're not even to the 23.6 here. So do I expect us to trade up here again today? My opinion? Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and check in on your wait, where'd your trade go? Was that on? I thought you had one on.
Remember, here's the NASDAQ. Here's the NASDAQ. Yeah, let's do I have them both. Let's go to the micro NASDAQ first. Again, we have our first unit. We haven't got our second unit yet.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see and see if you had bought that or not.
Yeah, so we're still waiting. We're patient. That's okay. I'm going to watch the news. I'm going to drink some more coffee. I'm not going to move stuff around because I have FOMO or because I have fear and greed. I just want to get it. It's a common mistake. Don't do it. And then in the ES, same thing. We have our second unit, right? We have our second unit right now. We're a little bit underwater, but not too much underwater. We're looking pretty similar. That VWAP we're trading right at it right now. Yep. And I want to get that first unit. If I can get that first unit at R1, then I'm going to move this stop up to 41.76, and I'm going to change it to a one contract stop, and we'll see if we can get a runner on the upside. That's the game plan.
Now, with you being so close to grabbing your second unit, you don't ever just want to be like, it's close enough, I'll take it. In terms of purchasing your second unit?
Oh, I so do all the time. And this is bad practice, right? Yeah. I mean, I've recognized this over 40 years. You have this impulse to change your mind on a trading strategy in the middle of battle, right? And my experience is that's usually a bad thing. Every once in a while it's okay, but my experience is it's kind of bad. So stick to your game plan and then review it after the fact and say, hey, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? Maybe my limit order was not in the right spot. Maybe I should have tweaked it above the VWAP or something like that.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Are there any other markets that you kind of want to look at? Or is there anything that you don't like to trade? I'd be curious as to why that is.
These asset classes here, CME asset classes are awesome. They're all good, right? And, I tell people who are trading Forex, take a look at the currency markets here. They're transparent. There's a lot of benefits to trading currency futures. They're all pretty good. Just make sure there's enough volume in these markets to trade them.
People get in trouble is that, sometimes they don't pay attention to the volume, and that can kind of get a little tricky and get you in a lot of trouble there,
Yeah. And the other mistake is don't try to master one or two markets. Don't try to master 7 or 8 markets.
So your two favorite ones. Let's give you 3. What would your 3 favorite markets be?
Well, for me personally, I like the E-mini S&P.
Yep.
I like the Euro FX, and I like the 30-year Treasury bonds. Those are my 3 favorite markets to look at. I think I've been involved in the 30-year Treasury market since 1982, a long time. Yeah. So that's I'm just stuck with that being a favorite. But I think that the S&P is good. It's 500 large cap stocks. Yeah. It's transparent. It's widely quoted around the world, and it makes sense the way it moves. That's so that I really like to focus on that. Is our cornerstone keystone market, and then the euro is just a great market to trade too. Ever since the Eurozone was established, this is a really good currency pair.
Yeah, I know when I was traveling earlier today, I was like, this is cool in terms of wanting to trade futures. I almost put a trade on, but I chickened out a little bit. But it was cool because I didn't have to wait till 9:30 necessarily or 7 o'clock because that's where my broker goes ahead and opens. I could have traded futures at 4 o'clock when I was getting ready for the airport or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's what I love about the flexibility that futures provides.
Yeah, for sure. And there's like segments of time that are unique, right? So you have the European Open, which is unique. We have unique price behavior in all of these asset classes. It doesn't matter that they're at the CME group; these are international markets.
Yeah.
And then you have pre-market, right before the regular trading hour starts. I'm gonna just loosely call that 7 to 9:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
where price has a behavior that you could kind of learn about over a period of time and trade that. And then you got the open, and then you got the close. So there's all sorts of discrete time frames.
Yeah, you totally do not. We have not looked at natural gas. I do want to close out with that one. We looked at crude oil, but I'd love to look at natural gas if we could.
Yeah, here's a daily chart for nat gas. I mean, it's trading. It's relatively high here. Let me see if I could find. I just want to show you a daily chart really fast. If I could pull it up, is this daily? No, there we go. That's because it's been extraordinarily volatile. And as soon as you see this chart, you'll know what I'm talking about. And where is it at? Where's my? There we go. I mean, look at this. I got channels, I got lines, I got crosses, I got stuff everywhere. And we had this really nice long bear move all the way down for a long period of time, starting here in June, bottoming out, really nice bottom here, support here around 220, and then rallied almost all the way back, not quite, but almost all the way back, and then kind of retraced a little bit here. We're still above the 50-period EMA. And this is a market that's, this is international global drama affecting this market as much as it is here in the US.
I love how clean your charts are. I mean, it kind of literally looks like something that could be a part of a textbook. But it's not noisy. It's not anything like, oh my God, what's going on, right? I really like it.
Thanks. Yeah, and I like to look at the daily to give me a perspective of, what's my bias for the day? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? Is it neutral? And obviously, when we were having this run up here, it was bullish, right? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to say, hey, this is a trend up. And so right now we have, a nice area here that could be considered an area of support. We'll see if we break it or not.
I did want to ask one last question before we go. When you guys are trading, right, near the close there, or for bars closing, how do you manage like your trading style when you know that, hey, the markets are going to close? Well, maybe not the futures market, but like 4 o'clock on the stock market. How do you kind of go into your mentality of trading there than at the open when you know you've got a whole day ahead of you?
Yeah, no, that's such a great observation. It's a different trading idea, right? It's a different trading method because you don't have that much time left. Now, the good news is on futures, you get that extra hour after regular hours close to kind of clean up positions. But I like to target a trade idea that's, we start at 3:15, we go to 4. And I like to say, hey, listen, we got 45 minutes here to make this work. So that 2-unit trade idea where you have to be patient to get the fill on the second one doesn't really work then, right? You have one shot at it, you get all your units up front, and then you try to target. And our biggest dilemma at the end of every day is, are we going to have an end of day 23.6% fib retracement today or not? That seems to be the focus the last several months. Sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't.
Yep, totally love it. Now, we've only got a minute here. Do you have anything else that you want to add on? If not, we can go ahead and wrap up. I want to go back to the ES. Yeah, see what the trade might look like if you weren't able to grab any more shares. I knew the market did come down a little bit. And there you go. Looks like you grabbed yourself another unit.
Yeah, we have 2 on the ES right now. Average price 41.76. We're about 8 handles underwater, but I'm not too worried about it because anything could happen, obviously. But I'm going to show one quick rectangle now that I have a chance. Here's a really nice short-term area, and again, my top of my rectangle's touching the bottom of these closed candles right here. We haven't closed in a candle in this rectangle for a long period of time, so this is pretty good support for me right now. And I know the trend is kind of down. We might touch into it, but that's okay. I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet.
I like it. I love it. Well, Jim, it was so great to have you come back on the show. Missed you last week, and I look forward to catching up next week as well. That is Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.